I don't know if my story will hit home for anyone else, but I've got some personal twists to share, and honestly, I couldn't sleep after what went down last night. My amazing wife, Amanda, is 35, and I'm 33. Our 8th wedding anniversary is coming up in less than 2 weeks. We've been together for over a decade, and it's been nothing short of incredible. No breakups, no major arguments, just years full of laughter, family vacations, building businesses side by side, weekend yard projects, and raising our 2 awesome boys. It's been a real journey. But lately, something's felt off. Last year, Amanda interviewed at a well-known long-term care facility and landed a top position. Her new boss offered her the role, and ever since, she's been talking about how amazing he is. She's always praising his family-first mentality, his drive to succeed, and how much he believes in her potential. But then, something weird happened her very first night on the job. At first, I didn't think much of it. Her role came with a lot of extra events, golf tournaments, fundraisers, networking dinners. That all sounded normal, I guess. But something about it just didn't sit right with me. Nothing concrete at first, just a gut feeling that something wasn't adding up. Then one night in June, that feeling hit me hard. Amanda had gone out with coworkers after some golf event, and when she said she'd be home in an hour, I didn't think twice. But an hour turned into 2, then 3. I started pacing around the house, anxiety gnawing at me. I even started wondering if I should call the cops. We've always shared our iPhone locations, not because of a lack of trust, but because we have young kids. It's just been a safety thing. So I checked her location. And her phone hadn't moved, it was sitting by the side of a busy road. I tried calling. Straight to voicemail. My chest started to tighten. Was she in an accident? Had something happened? Just as I was about to call the police, my phone lit up. It was Amanda. She told me she was on her way home. I breathed out in relief. But then she said her phone had died and she was in a coworker's car, one who didn't have a charger. That wasn't like her. She always checked in if she was going to be late. I tried brushing it off. Maybe it was just part of adjusting to a new job, new people, new routine. But here's the thing, the last place her phone pinged before dying? It was along the route to the restaurant where she and her coworkers were supposed to meet. And something about that didn't feel right. Fast forward a couple of months, and Amanda started getting seriously into her fitness. Like really into it. Morning routines that used to take 15 minutes now stretched out much longer. She talked nonstop about her workouts, her weight, even started talking about wanting a boob job. And I mean, Amanda's already in amazing shape, way above your average gym-goer. She's drop-dead gorgeous. Then I met her boss. Just once. And man, the guy couldn't even look me in the eye. When we shook hands, his palm was clammy, like he was sweating bullets. He didn't make any real effort to talk to anyone, including Amanda. The only thing he said to me was some weird, half-mumbled question about what high school I went to, and he didn't even look at me when he asked. Grabbed a beer, then left in a hurry. After he left, one of her coworkers invited his girlfriend and her daughter over. Everyone had a few drinks, and Amanda ended up convincing them to stick around for dinner. It actually turned into a fun night. We laughed, hung out, the usual. They left around 7 p.m. Now here's where things get interesting. Amanda had been going back and forth about whether to go out for drinks with a friend to celebrate a birthday. It was still up in the air until right before she left. When the time came, she went upstairs, took her time getting ready, and when she came down, she looked stunning. Kissed me goodbye, said she was heading to a bar across town. But something felt off. Her whole vibe was awkward. I texted her, just to check if she was okay to drive. She replied that she was totally fine, said she'd only had a couple drinks all day and wouldn't be out late. I think she might have even asked me to wait up for her. I don't remember exactly what I was watching that night, but I decided to put on a movie and just chill while Amanda was out. Less than an hour had passed when this nagging feeling hit me. She hadn't checked in. Not even a simple, "made it," text. That wasn't like her. So I opened up Apple's location sharing to see where she was. And what I saw, honestly, left me speechless. Her location showed she was at work. But not her regular office building. This was a different structure, tucked right across the street from where she usually works. A building she never once mentioned. I stared at the screen, trying to make sense of it. It took me a little while to figure out exactly what I was looking at, but eventually I pieced it together. She was parked at some low-key building tied to her job, and suddenly, 1,000 questions rushed through my head. Did she change her route on purpose? Was she making a phone call? Meeting someone? Why did I get such a weird vibe from her boss earlier? Why would she say she was going for drinks on the east side and then drive west to her office? Especially when her coworkers weren't even involved. It just didn't line up. Then, less than an hour later, Amanda walked in and found me sitting on the couch. She flashed me this overly bright, almost forced smile that immediately felt off. Something about it made my skin crawl. She hadn't even been gone that long, but I couldn't stop wondering what had really gone down while she was out. I mean, I know she keeps telling me she loves me, but for a split second, this thought slammed into my brain. Was she with someone else just minutes before walking through that door? I tried to shake it. Told myself maybe she just pulled into that lot to make a call, or catch her breath. Looking back now, I realize I was trying too hard to convince myself. The next couple of weeks rolled by, leading into July, and I did my best to forget about the whole thing. Nothing else major happened, so I pushed those doubts down. Our boys started attending summer camp, conveniently located on the campus where Amanda works. Every so often, something would come up at her job and she'd ask me to pick them up. Other times, she'd ask one of her coworkers, yeah, you can probably guess who, to watch them for a bit. And then I found out something that floored me. Her boss, that guy, had been letting my kids hang out in his office. Giving them snacks, letting them mess around on his computer. Like they were best buddies or something. Apparently, they've gotten pretty used to him. Amanda said her team's been really supportive lately, and that's great and all, but man, that hit me sideways. Anyway, let me back up and share something a little lighter. We recently took a beach trip with Amanda's family, a full week of sunshine, sand, and ocean breezes. It was amazing. We relaxed on the beach, went for bike rides with the kids, and honestly, it felt like a break from all the weird tension. But the second we got back, it was straight back to chaos. Amanda dove right into a packed work week, and midweek she asked if I could handle pickup duty for the boys. The reason? She wanted to go out with her coworkers. I was stunned. That day was our oldest son's very first day of kindergarten. We had just come back from vacation, and instead of being home to celebrate that big milestone with him, she chose a work outing? When I asked her about it, she told me one of her female coworkers was going through a rough divorce and needed to unwind. So they planned a small golf outing followed by food and drinks while catching the first preseason football game. Here's the kicker, that same coworker had joined us on our beach trip just the week before. She even booked her own hotel room nearby since she lived out of town. Amanda said she wanted to meet up with her before the golf outing to support her through this tough time. I don't know. Something about it felt off. Still, I didn't say anything. I kept my mouth shut and agreed to pick up the boys. The after-school program is right there at Amanda's workplace, so picking them up isn't a huge hassle, but it's weird that she didn't just handle it herself, especially with how close everything is to our house. Meanwhile, my job's a 40-minute drive from there, so dipping out early midweek wasn't easy. Finally, the big day came, our son's first day of kindergarten. That morning, we took pictures together and walked him into school as a family. Amanda seemed a little rushed though. She kept checking the time, clearly eager not to be late for work. I even filmed the moment on my phone. We'd been looking forward to this day ever since preschool ended, spent the whole summer talking about it. But something just didn't feel right. Amanda was acting strangely, not like herself at all. Usually, she's the emotional one during big milestones like this, full of smiles and excitement. But as we watched our little boy walk into his classroom, I found myself struggling to keep up with her on the way back. She's always been a fast walker, sure, but today of all days. She didn't even slow down for our son's first day of school. As soon as we got home, she jumped into her car and peeled out of the driveway like she was late for something, looking tense, like she was in a rush. Later that afternoon, I was scrambling to finish up work so I could pick up the boys on time. But just my luck, there was a road closure near the construction site along my route. On top of that, the highway was packed. Total gridlock. It felt like the universe was out to make sure I was late. Sitting in traffic, my mind started to spiral. Why did Amanda insist I be the one to get the kids today? Why wasn't she there on our son's big day? Why was she going out again, on this day of all days? Shouldn't she want to be home, celebrating with us? My chest tightened. I knew there was no way I'd get there on time now. I tried calling her to let her know, thinking maybe she'd step in and pick them up instead. But no answer. Multiple times. Straight to voicemail. She knew I was picking them up, so why the silence? A sudden, chilling thought crossed my mind. Wasn't she supposed to be heading to a hotel before this golf thing? That's what she said, right? Was I overreacting? It sure felt like it. But something wasn't right, and I couldn't shake it. I hated that I was tracking her location again, but there I was, glancing at the screen while stuck in traffic, trying not to let my imagination run wild. And there it was. Her pin showed she was at a hotel. In our own city. A hotel that was actually farther from the golf course than our house was. That didn't make sense. Why would she be there? Unless, no way. She couldn't be there with her boss, right? I tried calling again. Nothing. So I called the after-school program. They told me not to worry. Amanda had arranged for our female friend from work to be there with the kids. That just raised more questions. The woman in charge reassured me everything was fine, that the boys were safe, and to just get there when I could. So I kept driving. As I neared the highway exit that leads to Amanda's office, where the boys' aftercare is located, my GPS told me to exit right next to the hotel where Amanda's location had been just minutes ago. What are the odds? I took the ramp, already 10 minutes late, nervously checking her location again while driving. I know, stupid move. I couldn't help it. My hands were shaking. I pulled into the hotel's parking lot for a second, just to see if I could make sense of anything. Then her location started moving. She was leaving. Probably getting on the highway. There I was, stuck in traffic, my GPS directing me toward the boys, and Amanda's little blue dot zipped right past me in the other direction. That feeling in my gut? It dropped. I was desperate to catch a glimpse of her car, or his car. I remember it well from that awkward day he came to our house. But I couldn't see either one. My thoughts were spinning so fast, I could barely keep my eyes on the road. I felt like I was going to lose control of the car or myself. She had to have been in that hotel room for at least an hour. There was no other explanation. And yeah, maybe it's crazy to think the worst, but the way I was feeling? It was hard to think clearly. I blamed myself. I felt like I was the one in the wrong for checking her location, for snooping, for doubting her. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just anxiety. Something was off. I showed up late to get the boys, still mentally spiraling, but trying to keep it together for them. We got home, had dinner, and I kept checking my phone. Still nothing from Amanda. Finally, later that night, she replied. I think I had sent her a photo of me and the boys goofing off, shirts off, just having a silly moment. She texted back. Wow. I love you guys. And that was it. Just a few words. And we called it a night. I decided to switch things up and FaceTimed Amanda while I was with the kids. It's not something we usually do, but I figured maybe it'd help put my mind at ease, or catch her in the act, if she was up to something shady. She answered. Looked like she was at a bar. But thankfully, her boss wasn't anywhere in sight. Maybe she really was telling the truth about being at that hotel with her female coworker. While we were chatting, one of our boys suddenly blurted out, Hey, where's that guy who always gives us snacks at the office? Then, just like that, the camera panned over and there he was, grinning and waving at the kids. We all said our goodnights, and after I tucked the boys into bed, it felt like forever before Amanda finally walked through the door. She thanked me for taking care of everything, feeding the kids, getting them to bed, holding down the fort. Told me she loved me. We even ended up having an intimate moment. But no matter how close we got that night, I couldn't shake this nagging sense of unease. Like something inside me had been violated. What I'd seen, what I'd felt, it was too much to ignore. 3 days later, it was Sunday morning. We had plans to take the boys hiking that day. As soon as Amanda woke up, she grabbed her phone and started scrolling through it. I didn't think anything of it at the time, just her normal morning routine. Then she left for her usual early run. As I was heading downstairs, I grabbed the iPad we both used to play music around the house. Oddly, it had updated the night before. I didn't think much of it either. But then, just as I was about to fire up Apple Music, a notification popped up on the screen, and it stopped me cold. It was a message filled with emojis. From her boss. Something like, "Hey there! Good morning. Beautiful day for a run." That alone would have been shocking enough. But then I tapped on it, almost without thinking, and saw another message. Amanda had texted him first thing that morning. My heart dropped. I panicked and deleted the messages. Still don't know why I did that, just sheer impulse, I guess. My head was spinning. I didn't even know what to think. Amanda came back from her run while I was still trying to calm myself down. I was upset, but I made a conscious decision not to blow up. Instead, I pulled her aside and asked her about it in a calm, steady voice. I led her into the dining room, sat her down, looked her right in the eyes and asked, "So, what's really going on between you and your boss?" She blinked, confused. "What?" "Nothing. He's my boss. He's almost 60. She gave me this look like I was crazy. I said, "We've got our 2 boys right there in the next room. I need to know what's happening." Then I showed her the message. She took a breath. "Look, I swear, there's nothing going on. B is just a nickname we all use for him. We're competing on our Apple Watches, that's it. I promised him I'd go for a run this morning, that's all." I walked away, unsure if I'd made a mistake confronting her. Maybe I should have stayed quiet, kept watching, let things play out until something undeniable surfaced. But I didn't want to live like that. I just wanted the truth. We went on the hike as planned, but things felt tense. Amanda was quiet. Off. There was a weird energy between us all day. The boys fell asleep in the back seat on the drive home, and I decided to bring it up again. I told her how much the message bothered me. I mean, who texts their boss, or gets a text from them, first thing on a Sunday morning unless there's something more going on? To her credit, she acknowledged how bad it looked. She didn't try to deflect or deny that it came off as suspicious. But still, she insisted nothing inappropriate was happening. Even so, that damn hotel incident from a few weeks back kept buzzing around in my head like a swarm of angry bees. That night, we opened a bottle of wine and circled back to the conversation. I hoped maybe she'd open up more. Say something. Anything that would make sense. But she didn't. She stuck to her story, told me again that everything was fine. Fast forward almost 3 weeks. Last Saturday was a huge day for me. My company was hosting one of our biggest annual events. Stress levels were already through the roof. And then, I woke up with this gut-wrenching feeling that Amanda was cheating on me. I didn't have proof, but my instincts were screaming. And even with everything else going on that day, I couldn't ignore it. I just couldn't get the hotel incident out of my head. It had been weighing on me for weeks. And to make things worse, Amanda and I used to hit the gym together regularly. But now she'd been taking the kids instead, while I headed straight to the office. Last Saturday, things took another strange turn. It started the same way, it always does now, with that gnawing gut feeling. Like something was seriously wrong. I woke up feeling like my wife might actually be cheating on me. And of course, this all happened on one of the most important days of my professional year. My company was hosting its biggest annual event. So on top of everything else, I was already carrying a mountain of stress. Even though my day was packed, I couldn't stop obsessing over that damn hotel. The thought of it had been stuck in my mind like a splinter I couldn't dig out. There was also something I'd been meaning to do for the past 3 weeks. And that morning, I finally gave in. I called the hotel. My hope was that maybe, just maybe, they'd confirm that Amanda's female coworker had been the one who made the reservation. The phone started ringing. But then, 2 rings in, I hung up. I froze. I didn't know if I actually wanted to hear the truth. Maybe it was better not to know. Maybe ignorance really was safer than heartbreak. I pushed the thought away and tried to focus on the event. Meanwhile, Amanda was home with the kids, and I felt this little jab of guilt for not rushing back to be with them, even though I probably could have made it home before bedtime. The rest of the day dragged on, the uneasy feeling still clinging to me. The next morning, Sunday, we were supposed to head to her brother's place to watch the football game. But I had to swing by the office first to wrap up some leftover stuff from Saturday. Amanda went to the gym, then planned to pick me up from work so we could go together. As I was packing up my things, her iPad caught my eye. And I hesitated. But deep down, I already knew. She'd been hiding something. She'd figured out how to log out of iCloud and disable message previews, clear signs that she was intentionally keeping things secret. I opened her boss's contact profile. And what I saw made my stomach turn. She'd been turning location sharing on and off with him the night before. That wasn't normal. That wasn't something coworkers did. Then I dug into her photo stream. At first, everything looked ordinary. Albums, selfies, vacation pics. But then I saw a folder labeled deleted photos. Something told me to check. And there it was, pictures of Amanda in her underwear. Snapped the morning after we got back from the beach trip, right before she went back to work. I didn't get those photos. So who did? It wasn't like her to take pictures like that, especially not ones she didn't send to me. That alone said enough. But then came the worst part, a screenshot. Probably accidental. A message thread between her and her boss. Dated the day before that hotel stay. They were making plans for lunch, buried under a flurry of hard eye emojis. And the last line? I've been dying to see you since last Friday. Can't wait to be with you, babe. My hands went cold. I kept going numb and found more. In her browser history, a Google search for how to say, "one more day," in Spanish. The date? The same day she sent those lingerie shots. Back when we first met, Amanda used to flirt with me like that. Playful messages, sexy little texts. That version of her, the fun, flirty version, was now reserved for someone else. Not me. After 2 months of trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, the truth had finally caught up with me. And it hit like a brick to the chest. Our life was about to change, no question. We met up at my workplace as planned. She brought the kids. We spent a little time together, but I was still reeling, barely able to look at her. She could feel something was off. I didn't have to say it. The ride to her brother's house was quiet. Dead quiet. Neither of us spoke much. I was stuck in my own head, trying to process it all. And she just sat there, looking terrified. Later that night, I called a colleague of mine. He's one of the top partners at a respected local law firm, and probably the best divorce attorney in the state. I wasn't sure what I was going to say. But when he called me back, I picked up. I stepped outside and called him, my friend, the divorce lawyer. I tried to explain everything, but I was stumbling over my words, totally overwhelmed. Thankfully, he was calm. Steady. He helped me slow down and breathe a little. He told me the best thing I could do right now was have an honest, face-to-face conversation with Amanda. No games, no accusations, just get the truth out. He reminded me that no matter how messy things get, what really matters is what's on the table, the facts. So after that, I touched base with my own lawyer. Then I headed back home. The tension in the car was suffocating. Neither of us said a word. It was like we were both waiting for the other to explode. Once I was sure the kids were asleep, I went down to the kitchen and waited. Amanda came in quietly, like she already knew what was coming. I didn't waste time. I asked her the same thing I had before. "What's going on with our marriage?" Then I told her I had proof, solid, undeniable proof, that something had happened between her and her boss. No way to spin it. She didn't cry. Not one tear. But her whole body tensed. And before I could say anything else, she launched into a string of justifications. She started talking about how distant she'd felt from me over the summer. Which, honestly, didn't surprise me. The strange behavior had started back in early June, right after she began working with this guy, and it hadn't stopped since. She admitted to spending time with him, but insisted it didn't go further than that. So I asked her straight up, "Have you gotten close with him?" "No," she said. I pressed harder. "Did anything physical happen between you two?" Again, she denied it. I asked one more time. She paused, and then admitted they'd kissed. I just sat there, staring at her. Processing. Then I asked, "Where did it happen?" Her words got jumbled. She fumbled through her response, clearly struggling to keep her story straight. "After work," she said. "Where exactly?" She hesitated. "Did you book a hotel?" "Yes." "Was he there?" "Yes." "What about your coworker? The one you said you were meeting?" "No, she wasn't there." "So let me get this straight. You went to a hotel with your boss, just to kiss?" She nodded. "And what else? What did you two do at this hotel?" "We talked," she said. I shook my head. "Amanda, grown adults don't book hotel rooms just to talk. You two got physical." She didn't argue with that. But she did insist she couldn't bring herself to go further. We had a long, brutal conversation. No yelling. No screaming. Just raw, painful honesty. Over and over, she kept saying, "I want you. I want this. I want us." She told me she didn't know what she was thinking. That even though she'd pulled away from me, there wasn't anything fundamentally wrong with our marriage. We'd gone on vacations, kept a decent sex life, raised our kids together, shared romantic dates. It took me a while, maybe 30 minutes, for the full weight of her betrayal to really hit me. "So you wanted me to leave work early to pick up our sons?" I said. "At a program inside your workplace, where you see this man every day, just so you could get off early and meet him at a hotel?" I felt sick. And this wasn't some spur-of-the-moment thing. You two planned it. During our vacation, even. And it was the same day our son had his first day of kindergarten, a huge milestone you skipped out on. I remembered the message from her boss. "Eager to see you," he'd written. "Can't wait for your arrival, babe." This whole thing was premeditated. Carefully arranged. And now I was just sitting in it, like a prisoner locked in a room built out of lies. Eventually, we went to bed. She reached for me, trying to be close, trying to make things normal again, but I recoiled. Her touch made my skin crawl. I felt violated. Hollowed out. I lay awake for 3 hours, staring at the ceiling. Just numb. Eventually, I got out of bed and started reading. I scrolled through forums, articles, anything I could find, stories about people who had been through infidelity, and somehow made it to the other side. Stories of forgiveness, or closure, or freedom. But all I could think about was how broken this felt. I knew nothing could ever go back to how it was. And the thought of losing it all, my family, our finances, our memories, was crushing. It felt hopeless. Last night I didn't sleep. Not a wink. I sat there, thinking about divorce. About what my life would look like without her. My thoughts were scattered and heavy. When Amanda woke up and asked how I was doing, I didn't even know what to say. I confronted Amanda about what I'd seen at that location, what I'd started calling the #2 incident in my head, and finally, my gut was proven right. She couldn't deny it any longer. Her weak excuse that it had just started held no water anymore. I looked her in the eye and told her I knew she had been there, with him. At that exact spot. She admitted it, but claimed all they did was talk in the car. But that just made it worse. Because now I wasn't just dealing with betrayal, I was dealing with uncertainty. What really happened that day? What else was she hiding? When she stepped into the shower, everything I'd been holding in came crashing down. I'd kept it together all night somehow. But waking up to this new reality broke something in me. I started crying, quiet at first, but then uncontrollably. I sat there on the edge of our bed, head in my hands, sobbing. Then I noticed one of our sons was already up. He was in the bathroom next door, and I panicked, realizing he might have heard me. The thought of him seeing me like that, his dad broken, it shattered me even more. He came out, wide-eyed and confused, and I just dropped to the floor and hugged him tightly, still crying. I couldn't stop. And that's when our other son came in too, his little face full of worry, and found me on my knees, hugging his brother like I was holding on to the last piece of sanity I had left. It was surreal. Just like that, my entire life felt like it had flipped. Everything we built, everything I thought was solid, it all cracked in a moment. Eventually, I pulled myself together enough to go downstairs and make coffee, even though Amanda had no clue what kind of storm had just torn through my chest. The night before had left me sleepless. All I could think about was whether this was something I could ever forgive. Could I really stay with her after everything that had happened? We had put so much into this marriage, years of love, family, effort, sacrifice, and in the heat of that awful conversation the night before, I'd said the word divorce out loud. But now, I didn't know. I was lost. Completely lost. We tried to sit down for breakfast as a family, but the air was thick, heavy with things unsaid. The boys ate quietly. Amanda avoided my eyes. Later that morning, I walked our older son to school. He just started kindergarten 3 weeks ago. And yes, this was that same day. The one Amanda had planned her romantic getaway with her boss. I had to put on a brave face. Keep the sadness locked up inside. I watched him run toward the playground, turning back every few steps to make sure I was still there. That look of trust, of love, just about wrecked me. He adored me. And I felt like I was failing him. Around me, other parents were showing up, some holding hands, smiling, laughing. I stood there stunned by how much my life had changed in just 12 hours. Oh, and I almost forgot. Amanda told me she's been dealing with this whole mess for a while now, even though the hotel incident had only happened a few weeks back. She said she canceled her upcoming business trip to California, the one she was supposed to take with him. The same trip that had been eating at me for weeks. She also told me she's dropping out of a work program that had them closely paired, and that they'll now be working in separate wings of the building. I don't even know what to make of that. Maybe it's damage control. Maybe it's guilt. Maybe it's her way of trying to fix things. But here I am, stuck in this place where I don't know what hurts more, staying with her, or walking away. The idea of breaking up feels more painful than staying in this fog of betrayal. But I can't think straight. My work's falling apart. I've got no appetite. My body's going through the motions, but I'm barely functioning. I'm numb.